Okay, now gets the tricky part. We have all these buttons and gadgets and places that you plug things in and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do, first and foremost, is get ready for that camera, because I know pictures are really important to you guys, and so you want to be able to take pictures with your iPad. So what you want to do is figure out where your device's little camera is, lay it down, and this is going to be a little tricky because you're going to have to kind of figure out by your finger where it is. So I'm going to hold it here and kind of, it's right there, kind of have to there we go. So it's right about there. Okay, and I'm going to use my dry erase marker. And what's great about dry erase markers is the thing about them is you can mark with them and then they just wipe right off. So I can actually do this a couple times if I get it wrong. So I like pick it up and okay, it's right about there. So that's about where my camera is. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, this square around here, so that I make sure that I have enough space for that camera. Okay. Okay, pull my device away. All right, now what I'm going to need is that X-Acto knife. And again, be very, very careful when you use this. I don't mean to harp, but I can't tell you how many scars I have from my past of using these. Okay, so you cut down in here, cut down in here, cut across the top. Try to get my hands out of the way so you can see. And cut on the side here. Okay, so I've cut this little square. So see, what I had done here is that I made a dot where I knew the camera was. And then what I did was I basically made a square that was about 1 inch around that little spot because I want to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, now I should be able to pop this right out of there. There we go. And then see, I can just wipe away any of that excess. Now, don't get too worried about there being like a little edge here, little cardboard edge. If you really, really want to come back and put a little bit of tape on it, you can, but I don't get too tense about things like that. Okay, now when I put my device in here, make sure that's the camera side, yep. And I shut it. Should be able to see the little camera. There it is. Okay, now the holder part. Now the holder part is going to be the part that holds your device in your holder, your container here. So the thing about it is that there are all these buttons and again plugs for it, and you want to make sure that you can get to those. To create the frame, what we're going to do is we're going to make fold-over strips. Now I want this to be strong. It's very important that it be strong, so I'm going to do a double fold-over strip. And a fold-over strip is basically a piece of tape, and measure it there. It's a piece of tape that I fold over onto itself, long-wise. So here's my piece of tape, and I fold it over onto itself like that. So I've folded sticky side to make myself a strip. I call this a fold-over strip. Now, as I said, I want these to be super strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a double fold-over strip. So I measure again, and this is coming back in the opposite direction. So this is where, when I fold it over, this is the edge from one side to the other side. This is the folded part, so it's sealed. I want to make this fold over go over the sticky part. So I lay my edge along the folded edge. This is going to make sure that it's nice and sealed. There's no stickiness anywhere that can get onto my device. Fold it over, and see, there it is. That was the edge that came back and was sticky. Now it's no longer sticky because it's got tape folded over it. There you go. Now, what you can do is lay that on your device and mark the corners. Boop. And boop, just like that. And take your scissors and give it a little snip, snip, and snip. Now, you need to make 4 of these. 2 that are this size, 1 for each. And I've made some ahead of time just so that we could hurry up this process. So 2 that are this size, And I can use this as my template here. Snip. And 2 that are this size. So I'm going to take my marker and just mark, boop, and snip. And again, see how great that is? That just wipes right off. And take another one. And snip. And get an extra one there. Now I'm going to lay out my frame. So I've got one side, and I want to lay this right to the edge of my device. And 2. Put that side. Lay that side on that side. It's kind of just like making a picture frame. And that side to that side. There we go. Now, what I want to do is I want to seal these edges here. Before I do that, what I also want to make sure is that I make a space for these little hoogies. I don't know. This is a button, and I can never remember if this is like where I'm supposed to talk to it or it's part of the camera thing or whatever. But there's a little device up there. So I have a device here and a device here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mark these with like a little semicircle, because that's where they are. And I'm going to cut these out now, because when I start to seal them, it's going to be a little tricky to try to get in there and cut it. So let's just make sure that that's right. There you go. So now you can see my button there. And cut the top one. And there we go. Now you can see the device there. Okay, and now I'm going to wipe that away. Okay, now what I'm going to do is tape my frame together. And to do that, I'm just going to take some tape on either side here, line it up the way I want it, and I'm just going to use little strips of tape here. So I'm going to take a little strip of tape. Again, see, and you can see why I said use the same color, use the same color. Now, the only reason that I switched blues here was so that you would be able to see when we put the 2 pieces together, you'd be able to see it easier. So I'm just going to take these pieces like this on either corner, again, in this corner, and then I'm going to come back and do these edges too. So see, I'm putting like an X at each corner, like that, and like that, and like that. And then I would take this off of my device, flip it over, and secure. Like that. Like that. Like that. That. Whoops, a little off there. Like that. Like that. Like that. And like that. Okay, now it's time, and this is the tricky part. What I'm going to do is figure out on my frame where the spots are that my connector and inputs, outputs, all that kind of stuff is. All right, so what I got to do is I lean over here and I basically say, okay, there is an input, so I mark here. Now there's nothing from here to here, so I can put another mark here, and then I'm safe from this side here to this side here. There's a button here that we want to leave. Okay, if you look on the side here, there's 2 buttons, so I mark on this side of the buttons. See, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making flaps that are going to attach to the book part. I'm going to keep this in, and I need to make sure that these are open and available. So mark there, and it goes all the way to the end. I can do here. And we look at this side here. Nothing here, nothing here. This is super important because this is where I plug it in to charge it. and then here, and I can go all the way to the end on here. All right, see these spots? This is where I am going to be able to create my binders. And to make my binders, what I'm going to do again is, remember how I did my spine on my book? Remember how I did the spine? Do the same thing. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use the light colored tape so it matches. Okay, so I'm going to need to make myself a half decently long one because I'm going to be cutting this into pieces. So I take it there, and then I'm going to take that strip down the middle. And this is where you guys are going to laugh because I'm going to end up using that X-Acto knife because I want to make these nice and neat. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut this edge right here. One of the nice things about these self-healing boards is that they have measurements on them, which is great. Makes it easier when you are working. Okay. I'm going to measure this distance here. From there to there is about an inch, a little bit more than an inch and a half. I've actually got it marked here on my ruler. So I lay this down right here, and I'm going to cut right here. Watch your fingers. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this is place this right along that edge, right there, like that. And I'm going to do this for every single place that I've got it marked. So I'm going to do one for here, I'm going to do one for here, I'm going to do one for here, and one for here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's going to be extra long. I'm going to jump ahead because this is a long, tedious process, and I've actually done it already. So there you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to attach this to the book. Okay, we're almost there. I told you, a lot of steps, but we're almost there. Okay. I've got some parchment paper because I did these ahead of time, and you can see what's great about the parchment paper is it just peels right off. Okay. So I line this all up and close my book. I want to make sure that it doesn't slide too much. Close it. Close it there. Flip it over. I can just adjust it if I need to. This side here. There we go. Line it up and close it. And now what's great is all I have to do is peel these off and secure them to the back. And this is why I chose to do 2 different colors so you could actually see how it gets adjusted and sealed here. Just pull these up and seal them. We are so close to the end now. Peel these off. Again, you can see how easy parchment paper is to use. It's so great. Okay. Okay, now, one little quick thing here. See that? That's going to go into my camera. So what I want to do is just give this a little snip on an angle. There we go. And pull it down. Bring this one over. Pull it over. And there we go. See, my device is able to go in and out now. See that? It slides in and it slides out. Here's the cool thing. I have to turn it on. My button's right there. Oh, I hope I have a charge. Okay, there it is. Okay, we'll let that boot up. While it's booting up, we'll make the tongue. Okay, so it needs a flap. And for the flap, what I'm going to be doing is just take some tape. And remember how we did that fold over? This time we're going to fold it over this way, long ways on itself. I'm going to just trim this end like a circle. But you can make it, however you want to. If you want to make a diamond or whatever. I'm going to cut off any stickiness. There's a little bit of stickiness there. Okay, and I'm going to turn it to the back. I'm going to take my tongue and place it in the middle of my book. And then I'm going to take my tape and I'm just going to secure it right here. There we go. And then on the front, I'm just going to take my Velcro, and this is where I got that great sticky back Velcro. I put a piece of sticky back Velcro there, and then I remove the backer from this sticky piece. Come off. I really need to get fingernails, because this is where you need your fingernails for the sticky back. Take it off. Take it off. Come on, plastic. There we go. So the best way for your placement is put your first piece down, then put your second piece with its stickiness facing up, and then just close it, because then you can make sure that you get it in the right place. There you go. So see, that'll keep it in like that. I'll keep it in like that. And now, if you realize what I did, when I made my piece ahead of time, unfortunately, I forgot to cut out my buttons ahead of time, but you know that you're supposed to cut those buttons out. But now what's cool is I can actually show you. I can touch my button here, I can turn it on, and I can take a picture if I wanted to. Now, once you're all done this, you can decorate it any way you want. This is when you can come back, use the same colored tape on the back, embellish it, do whatever you want to it. Let me show you one that my sister made for me, because you know Frida's my artistic, creative person. She took one and made it into a monster! A monster! Isn't that cute? And look, its little tongue is the opener and closer. Whew! I know that was a lot of steps, and I know it was a long video, but hopefully this answers the question of how do I make an iPad or iDevice for myself. And here you have it, an iPad holder. For more ideas that you ask for and you get, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.